Programming for TIFF, I go to Australia, I go to New Zealand, and then I go all the way across the globe to Israel. And then I'm also responsible for American independence, so that means I go throughout the US, but particularly to festivals like Sundance, South by Southwest. I spent some time in Los Angeles. So yeah, I spent a lot of time in airline seats. So I think it was in early February or late February, I was at the Adelaide Film Festival, which is in Australia, and they always present wonderful new work from Australian filmmakers. So I was there doing my work, and I heard a rumor that Fred Skepsey, the renowned Australian filmmaker, had a new film that he was working on. And so I contacted a friend in Canada, and it turned out that Fred happened to be in Adelaide at that time. So she connected us, and we made an agreement to go out for lunch just to get to know each other, and I thought, I really want to talk about this film. So he and his lovely wife, Mary, took me out for lunch, and it turns out also that they are really well-known art collectors, contemporary art collectors, extremely knowledgeable. So we then went on a gallery tour in Adelaide, which is a wonderful city. So I had this fantastic opportunity to speak with them, to get to know them. They're fascinating people. And then I learned all of this information about contemporary Australian art. And I was able to secure the film, which is called Eye of the Storm, and it stars Charlotte Rampling and Jeffrey Rush and Judy Davis. And we're going to be presenting it here at TIFF. So all in all, it was probably one of my best days over the last year, both from a personal standpoint and professionally. The film that I was most excited to discover this year was actually a documentary called The Tall Man from Australia. And what was exciting about it, there's two things that were exciting about it. One is it's a remarkable film. But the thing that was exciting for me to discover about it was actually the film was made by Tony Krawitz, who is best known as a feature filmmaker, i.e. a fictional narrative filmmaker. His previous film, Jew Boy, was in Cannes, was highly regarded, went all around the world to many festivals, won tons of awards. And so that's the way that I thought of him and his work. So when I saw this documentary, which by itself is completely a knockout, but that he could transfer those skills. Many filmmakers, not all of them, but many, the vast majority of filmmakers, pick their venue, if you will, be it narrative or documentary, and they pretty much stick with it. But that he's made this transfer and created this really deep film, broad, multifaceted. The Tall Man is about a true story. Obviously, it's a documentary. It's a true story about a case in Australia. It takes place in Paradise Island. It's a beautiful paradise, but it has a troubled history of conflict between the Aboriginal communities that live there and the generally white police force. And it's the true story of an Aboriginal man who died while in police custody. So he follows the two stories and explores the life history of these two men, the police officer in question, who is the tall man of the title, and then the Aboriginal man whose death is in question here. It encompasses this entire community, its relationships, and then it gets bigger as the story resonates throughout Australia, and it becomes a personification of so many of the issues that have historically been there. It's a remarkable story. I really encourage people to see it, and that for me was the wonderful discovery that there's this multifaceted filmmaker that can move between these two genres. My hidden gem this year is the film with the longest title. It's called The Brooklyn Brothers Beat the Best. And it's a small, independent American film, small only, I suspect, in budget, because it's a big, sprawling film that's a road movie. It's fun, it's very, very comic at parts, but the funny eccentricity of it all actually is on top of much, much deeper themes. It's a story of a musician who seems to have really hit bottom. His girlfriend's left him. He's been kicked out of 2 bands. He's lost his nominally terrible job anyway. And he's pretty much hit the bottom when out of the blue comes this offer to go on the road from this other musician that he barely knows. And he thinks about it and realizes, well, there are no other options in front of me, so off they go. So it's a combination buddy picture, it's a combination road movie, it's a journey of self-discovery. All kinds of things happen to them along the way, but really at its core, what it's about is someone having an existential crisis and ultimately realizing that they must be true to themselves, no matter how geeky, odd, and unpopular their ambitions are. You must be true to yourself.